Hello and welcome back to Rich Ranks Things and this series, which seemingly has no name, where I've set myself the task of watching, ranking and reviewing every Best Picture winner, all 8 million of them. And so this week I'll be fastening my seatbelt to watch Driving Miss Daisy, the 1990 Best Picture winner, starring Jessica Tandy and Morgan Freeman. It's a film I've watched before, not for a long time though. I did rate it very highly. But I'm looking forward to seeing how I feel about it this time around. Set in Atlanta, Georgia, this film literally spans 25 years, from the 1940s all the way through to the 70s. And for a film that's only 90 minutes, that's an awfully long time. We meet Daisy, a lady of advanced age, who gets in her car and seemingly without any thought, immediately proceeds to crash it into her neighbour's garden. Rightly so, Daisy becomes an insurance risk, and thus her son decides to hire Hoke, a black chauffeur, much to her dismay, and her prejudices result in some pretty rude and stubborn commentary. Daisy is initially reluctant to let Hoke drive her anywhere, and she even tries to get him fired. All these actions just stinking of racism. But as the years pass, the pair share many rides and touching moments together, leading to Daisy appreciating him more and more. Their friendship unfolds against the backdrop of racial segregation, anti-Semitism, and social change in the South. The film ends on a tender note. As Daisy displays signs of dementia, she endearingly calls Hoke her best friend, underscoring the enduring bond they've built together over the decades. So this film gets 9 Oscar nominations, which is pretty good going for a film that isn't overly exceptional. And then it's another Best Picture that gets 4 Oscar wins. Of course, for Best Picture, Jessica Tandy gets it for Best Actress, becoming the oldest ever Best Actress winner. Still, that record stands. Best Adapted Screenplay and Best Makeup, which is obviously for all the heavy prosthetic that this film requires. So you've got a pretty heavy cast in this film, with 2 legends in the starring roles, Jessica Tandy and Morgan Freeman. You've also got Dan Aykroyd, who somehow snags an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor, absolutely beyond me. The iconic Patti LuPone, and Esther Roll playing Daisy's housemaid, Adela. It gets the adapted screenplay win because it's based off an off-Broadway play. And I did find myself looking up other actresses who played Daisy. And there's a small part of me that was just wishing to see Angela Lansbury in this role. And I'm really jealous of anyone that did get to see that production because I bet she was wonderful. Okay, so I put the DVD in the player and then I went and did some washing up. And the score to the film sort of is underneath the title card and it just keeps playing when I look, you know how it goes. And this music is like this weird synthy 80s sort of gentle, bizarre beat that honestly reminded me of a Pokemon game. And I just had to talk about how much that absolutely drove me crazy. And it's so jarring. It completely is not in keeping with the film and the theming at all. I think the title of this film suggests that it should be a camp old comedy, a caper. 2 old people driving around together. Alas, it's not that. It's very, very different. And you know what? I think Hans Zimmer felt the same. I don't know if he saw the film or read the script that he was scoring, because it is way off and much more where I was thinking. I audibly gasped when she just gleefully drove back the car and reversed it into her neighbour's garden without hesitation. I'd love to say that there's no jeopardy in this film, but there really is. She's just on a mission to cause chaos. She seemingly nearly gets away with murder by just crashing her car willy-nilly. And seemingly, her biggest problem is the rise of her insurance costs. Pretty early on, I start to get confused with the timings of this film. There's no sort of like nice little date stamping going on. Not that I'm a huge fan of that, but I think in this film it would have been really, really useful. I have no idea how old Hoke is supposed to be or how old Morgan Freeman is in this film. It's utterly baffling. She's determined to go shopping at Piggly Wiggly's, And I can't stress enough, she says Piggly Wigglies about 13,000 times in the space of a minute. And it was driving me crackers. I can't stop thinking about Piggly Wigglies, what Piggly Wigglies is, where Piggly Wigglies is, who goes to Piggly Wigglies other than Daisy. Piggly Wiggly this, Piggly Wiggly that. I don't give a Piggly Wiggly about Daisy or her crashed up car. So this is totally irrelevant to absolutely everything that the film is discussing. But I thought it was really beautiful and camp, the way that she lit the bottom of her tall candle and then stuck it to her candle plate and started going through like Florence Nightingale or A Lady of the Night. I thought that was so beautiful, and I am going to start doing that. I'm going to start buying tall candles. I'm going to start lighting them from the bottom and sticking them to things. I just love that so much. So the time gaps in this film are really weird and strange, and I don't quite grasp them, and it kind of takes me a few moments to go, oh, we're somewhere else now. I thought the biggest indicator was the way that they'd aged up Dan Aykroyd, which is probably why that best makeup win gets awarded to them. And there was part of me afterwards that was thinking about, well, would I have done something with the direction of this film that made it feel like we were in different eras? Maybe the way that those films are shot, those sections are shot, just echo sort of filmmaking of that time, or I'd have just made a little more effort there. And I wonder if that's probably why there's no Best Director nomination, because it's really unclear unless you're familiar with the story already. It's the first Best Picture winner to not get a director nomination since 1932, and I regret to say I think it's deserved. Despite her dismay, Daisy is a character that is full of prejudice and hatred, and I think the comments that she makes to her staff are vile. Top 10 vile characters, Daisy, number 1. There's moments of redemption and reflection throughout this, but it's never really actioned, and so I find it really hard to like Daisy. And the way she talks about the children that she's taught is also grim. She refers to them as the stupidest children. There's a moment of tension where the police stop them as they're driving back, and it feels like that's going to go somewhere. Something's going to happen. There's going to be a repercussion, and then her whiteness is just enough to let them keep going on. And there isn't action there. There's no consequence. Other than ACAB, all cops are bastards. The bombing of the temple is a really momentous moment in this film, and one of the very few where you feel like you get something back from these characters. It leads into Hoke recalling a story about the hanging of a friend's father that he witnessed as a child, and it's a really difficult moment between the two of them, and you see some consequence. It feels like something resonates with Daisy, but again, there's no action after that. There's nothing that follows through because of it, and it's a real shame because it does such a great job at demonstrating the commonalities in their experiences. And then at the end of all of this, Daisy goes and watches Martin Luther King speak, and she says, "I think it's so wonderful the way things are changing." But she doesn't bloody change herself. She doesn't let Hope come in with her. It's the smallest of changes. It's the bare minimum that she could have bloody done. It all just feels forced and plastic. I've had such enough of Daisy. Something that I did really love about Daisy actually is this fun little theme about class and privilege. And I think that Daisy is so oblivious and so unaware that she has money, that she has wealth, that she has power, and that she is a prejudiced woman. That I think that's hilarious. The ending where Daisy kind of develops dementia and is in the home is very emotional, and it's probably why Jessica Tandy sort of felt deserving of that best Oscar win in the end. But for me, it feels kind of left field of the story that we're telling all the way through. That is and the theming of racism and anti-Semitism and overcoming sort of challenges and differences whilst it was a touching ending, just feels really sort of off kilt with everything else. As lovely as it is, it's kind of just too saccharine and an understated ending that doesn't really go anywhere. Nothing ever feels resolved in this film, which kind of doesn't allow me to love it as much as I really wanted to. Okay, so casting. Well, we get a little sniff of Patti LuPone, just enough to wet your whistle, even if her character is odious and gross. But it's lovely to see Patti LuPone on film, out where she belongs. Dan Aykroyd, who I'm a fan of, but I'm afraid to say is about as wooden as the IKEA shelving behind me. I felt like he was being fed his lines. It was really, really strange, and I sort of dreaded it every time that he came on screen, other than to get some idea of where the timing was in this film, or whether we'd passed on or not. I think Morgan Freeman is really wonderful in this role. It's a really lovely performance from him. It's a really stacked year in the Oscars for Best Actor that year, and I'd have probably still given it to Robin Williams for Dead Poets Society, but it just baffles me that the world went mad for Daniel Day-Lewis in My Left Foot, which I just hate. I hate that film so much, and I really feel for Morgan Freeman, who gives a much better performance in this film. Now, if there's anything I love more than the Oscars and ranking in this world, it's an older lady. And Jessica Tandy is there being old and old, and that's wonderful. And you know what? I think she's probably deserving of that Oscar, if anything, for a celebration of an amazing career. For me, in this year, you have Pauline Collins as Shirley Valentine, which is just one of the most wonderful, amazing, underrated films of all time. And I'd have probably given it to her for such a special, special performance. Jessica Tandy is good in this. She is very good. And she creates a character that I loathe. But I think it's just a fine performance. It's absolutely worthy of a nomination, probably not of the win. So I checked my letterbox, and it turns out I had seen this film before, and I'd actually given it 4.5 stars, which I think maybe on reflection is a little generous. I love the theming, and I really loved that beautiful cemetery scene. This is a gentle film, laced with racism. It's very earnest, and I think its simplicity is what works in its favour and probably won it the Oscar. It's easy to get into, it's easy to get out of, like a bath with a door. Picking a favourite moment of Driving Miss Daisy is actually quite difficult because there's a lot of lovely, tender moments that are nice. I don't think there's ever a standout piece, but I think I probably would echo my original statements from the first time that I watched it, and it's probably the cemetery scene where she encourages Hoke to go and clean up another grave, and we discover that he can't work out what the letters on the graves are saying. She sort of falls into teacher mode and starts to give him structures and methods of how to accomplish it. And I think that's really lovely. It shows her humanity, which we don't really get to see much of until that moment in the film. In a nutshell, Driving Miss Daisy won because it tackles some very serious subjects and times with kid gloves. It also has excellent characterization, which makes those characters feel relatable and that story accessible. So there were 5 nominees for Best Picture this year, and my ranking would be number 5, My Left Foot, a film I absolutely loathe. I feel really uncomfortable watching it. I don't know what the answer is to displaying disability on screen, but it feels, watching Daniel Day-Lewis's performance in that film feels insensitive. I don't know if I'm in the right there, but it just doesn't sit right with me. 4 is Field of Dreams. It's a film I've seen once. It was fine. It was nice. Really torn here between 3 and 2. I think in third I'd probably put Born on the 4th of July. It's a really, really strong film. Tom Cruise is excellent in it. And I'm probably putting Driving Miss Daisy in second purely because of this rewatch. And my best picture for this year would be Dead Poets Society. It's a really tender, beautiful film. Robin Williams is sensational as always, and there's just tons of great moments in that film, and it tells a really fucking great story. So it's a shame that didn't come away with more wins that year. My star rating would actually be probably only 3.5 stars, which is a downgrade from the 4.5 that I previously gave it. I wonder if I was also washing up the last time I watched it and wasn't really paying full attention when I gave it 4.5 stars, because as nice as this film is, the performances are good. It doesn't really excel beyond very good. It's not great. It's not excellent. And I still think of it as this comedy that I really wish it was. I wish there were more light-hearted moments. It's telling a serious story in a very unserious way. So, my ranking this week on the board, we've now watched 3 Best Picture winners, which it means I'm continuing this. I'm committing, which is great. I'm putting it at third. Not where I thought I was going to put this going into it. I thought it was going to be number 1, based on recollection, based on thinking about those really cool performances. But there's something about the King's Speech which is just holding these films off, and I can't wait to see what topples it, because there has to be something. I'm not ending this journey with the King's bloody speech at number 1. If you like this video, or if you liked Driving Miss Daisy, or if you loathed Driving Miss Daisy, please give me a comment, share your views, let me know, give it a like, and come back next time where I will review another Best Picture and rank it on my long list that is currently quite bare. I don't know what A Bath with a Door is called.